Welcome in, everyone, to Spiritual Roots Podcast with me, Misty, where we talk about life, the magical, mundane, and everything in between. Thank you so much for being here. I greatly appreciate it. Keeping with the warm weather theme, this week we are diving into the folklore of poison ivy and jewelweed. I think we all met poison ivy when we were kids, playing outside and exploring Mother Nature and enjoying being kids, and the next thing you know, your leg, your arm, or worse, or your whole body, broke out in a terrible itchy rash that was horrendous to combat. Oh, I can feel it as we speak. Remember calamine lotion? Oh my goodness. It was a staple in any household medicine cabinet, and I think it still is. I think I have some. But I didn't meet jewelweed until the spring of 2020 when I was outside doing my daily walks and I was paying attention to the change in seasons. Really paying attention. I saw this cute orange flower. It was so beautiful. The orange caught my eye. Growing in a ditch, and I had to find out what it was. Jewelweed. I remember vividly when we met. And after that, I found out what most of the plants and trees were that were my walking companions. And from there, I started my journey of plant identification. Jewelweed started it all, and I am so grateful for it. So, my friends, if you're called, grab your journal, your favorite bevy, and a comfy spot, and let's jump in to poison ivy and jewelweed. Today we're exploring two plants that seem destined to grow side by side, poison ivy and jewelweed. One causes itchy irritation and discomfort. The other has been used by herbalists and folk healers to soothe the very rash poison ivy creates. It's a relationship that has fascinated naturalists, herbalists, and storytellers for generations. One plant teaches caution and respect. The other offers comfort and relief. Together they tell a larger story about balance in nature. We'll explore the folklore, history, magical associations, medicinal uses, and spiritual lessons of both poison ivy and jewelweed. But first, let's meet poison ivy. Poison ivy, scientifically known as Toxodendron radicans, is one of the most recognizable plants in North America. Most people learn the familiar rhymes. Leaves of 3, let it be. Hairy vine, no friend of mine. Berries white, run in fright. Or berries white, danger in sight. It's a warning passed down from parent to child, hiker to camper, gardener to gardener. Poison ivy grows as a vine, shrub, or ground cover. It thrives in forests, fields, roadsides, and even suburban backyards, as most of us already know. The plant contains an oily resin called urushiol oil. This oil is responsible for the itchy rash many people develop after touching the plant. I've even had it transferred from my dog before. When we still had Bandit, he would go into the woods, and man, he brought back poison ivy to me many times. I'm highly sensitive to poison ivy. Yet despite its reputation, poison ivy is not evil. It is simply surviving in its environment. Birds rely on its berries for food, deer browse its leaves, small animals use its tangle vines for shelter. In nature, poison ivy has an important ecological role. Its danger exists primarily because humans react to it. This distinction becomes important when we look at the folklore surrounding the plant. Unlike many herbs celebrated in folklore, poison ivy often appears as a trickster and shapeshifter. Many indigenous communities viewed poisonous plants with a mixture of caution and respect. Plants that could harm humans were often understood as possessing powerful spirits. Rather than being viewed as bad, these plants were considered teachers. A poisonous plant demanded awareness. It required people to pay attention. In many traditions, Carelessness in the natural world was seen as a spiritual failing. Poison ivy became one of nature's reminders that not every beautiful thing should be touched. Some Appalachian folk beliefs described poison ivy as a plant that punished arrogance. Those who walked carelessly through the woods would quickly learn humility. The rash became a lesson, a harsh, messy lesson. The plant was viewed as a guardian of boundaries. Its message was simple: observe before you act. This is a quote that I found from the Druid's Garden. Sister Ivy demands that we pay attention to our surroundings, that we be more alert and more aware. This is awareness medicine, and it is a powerful and potent lesson for each of us in an age of distractions. In magical traditions, poisonous plants often carried protective energies, not because they were used casually, but because their very nature discouraged intrusion. Poison ivy became associated with boundaries, protection, personal space, consequences, and respect for nature. Folk practitioners sometimes viewed poisonous plants as guardians of sacred spaces as well. The idea was that certain plants stood watch over the wild places humans were not meant to dominate. Poison ivy's ability to create a powerful reaction made it a symbol of energetic self-defense, protecting sacred spaces like a mother protecting her child, holding on to ancient trees in an attempt to keep them from being cut down, trying to keep the balance. Spiritually, poison ivy asks, where are your boundaries? What happens when someone crosses them? How do you protect your energy? Many people, especially caregivers and empaths, struggle with these questions. Poison ivy offers a fierce answer. Not every visitor deserves access. Poison ivy is attached to the element of fire. Although it grows from the earth, poison ivy often carries associations with fire. Think about the symptoms, right? What happens when we start to develop a rash? It burns, there's redness, there's inflammation, there's heat. Its energy mirrors the transformative and sometimes destructive quality of fire. Fire clears, fire protects, fire demands respect. Like fire, poison ivy can be dangerous when approached carelessly, but understood properly, it becomes part of a balanced ecosystem. Many spiritual teachers talk about love and openness. Poison ivy offers a different lesson. Boundaries are sacred. The healthiest ecosystems have limits. Think about it. Forests have edges. Rivers have banks. Even cells have membranes. Boundaries allow life to thrive. Protection often makes love possible. The plant becomes a symbol of learning when to say no, when to step back, when to preserve your own well-being. And here are some crystals that are associated with poison ivy. Malachite, this is a stone of deep emotional transformation. Aquamarine helps soothe anger, reduce inflammation, and heal sensitive, wounded boundaries. Fluorite, it brings mental clarity, mindfulness, and order. Tarot cards associated with poison ivy. Seven of Wands represents defensive boundaries and standing your ground. The Devil, representing temptation and the things that bind us or cause us suffering if we aren't careful. Now let's talk about jewelweed, the complete opposite of poison ivy. Its pal in nature, its neighbor, and our friend when we encounter poison ivy. This famous companion, jewelweed, scientifically known as Impatiens capensis. Jewelweed is an annual wildflower native to North America. Its bright orange flowers resemble tiny hanging trumpets, and it grows near streams, wetlands, forest edges, and shaded places. Interestingly, it often appears in the same habitats as poison ivy. And this observation has inspired generations of herbal folklore. Whether by coincidence or ecological relationship, People noticed that where poison ivy grew, jewelweed frequently grew nearby. And so, the story emerged. Nature had placed the remedy beside the problem. Why is it called jewelweed? Jewelweed gets its name from the way water beads on its leaves. After a rainstorm, droplets sparkle like tiny jewels. The leaves possess a waxy coating that causes water to gather into brilliant spheres. And in sunlight, the plant appears decorated with diamonds. It's so beautiful, it caught my eye as soon as I saw it. The magical appearance inspired many stories, and some traditions believe jewelweed carried fairy energy. Others say it's a plant blessed by water spirits. Children often enjoy touching the seed pods because the mature pods explode at the slightest contact, scattering seeds in every direction. And this earned jewelweed another common name, touch me not. Throughout North American folklore, jewelweed became associated with healing and protection. Because it often grew near water, many traditions linked it to emotional cleansing. Its sparkling leaves suggested purification. Its orange blossoms represented vitality and joy. And some folk healers believed jewelweed carried the energy of resilience. The plant thrives in damp environments where many species struggle. It flourishes in places of transition such as forest edges, riverbanks, wet meadows, ditches at your old apartment complex. These liminal spaces have long held spiritual significance. Places between worlds often appear in folklore as locations of transformation. Jewelweed became a plant of transitions, a helper during periods of change. One of the most widespread stories surrounding jewelweed is that nature places the cure beside the poison. Versions of this belief appear throughout herbal traditions. People notice poison ivy nearby, jewelweed nearby. The conclusion seemed obvious. The earth was providing balance. Whether the relationship was intentionally designed by nature or simply observed through experience, the story became deeply embedded in folk herbalism. And this is found with a lot of herbs in nature or plants that we find out in the woods that have medicinal uses. Sometimes the shape of the plant is the shape of the organ that it has associations in helping with. It remains one of the most beloved examples of plant companionship today. Now let's discuss medicinal uses of jewelweed. Historically, numerous indigenous communities use jewelweed externally for skin irritation. Traditional applications included poison ivy exposure, insect bites, minor rashes, nettles, itchy skin conditions. The fresh stems and leaves were often crushed into a juicy mash and applied directly to affected skin. The plant contains compounds that may help soothe irritation and reduce discomfort. Many modern herbalists continue this practice. Jewelweed preparations are commonly found as salves, soaps, lotions, herbal washes, tinctures for external use. However, scientific studies on jewelweed's effectiveness for poison ivy have produced mixed results. Some people report significant relief, others they experience minimal benefit. As with many traditional remedies, individual experiences vary. It's important to note that jewelweed is primarily used externally and should only be used appropriately and with proper identification. When dealing with severe allergic reactions or extensive rashes, please get some medical care. It's always the safest option. Because from my experience, if you get it bad enough, you have to go to the doctor. Get some steroids to help you out. In folk magic, jewelweed is associated with healing, emotional recovery, compassion, water energy and renewal, and adaptability. Because it grows in wet environments, it is often connected to the element of water. Water governs emotions, our intuition, our dreams, and healing. And jewelweed's bright orange flowers add a touch of solar energy as well. This creates an interesting balance. Water softens and sunlight strengthens, and jewelweed embodies both. Deities associated with jewelweed, although jewelweed is not directly sacred to specific deities, its qualities align with several healing and water-related figures. For example, Brigid, the Celtic goddess of healing, sacred wells, and inspiration. Jewelweed's connection to water and healing fits beautifully with Brigid's energy. Hygeia, associated with well-being and preventative care. Jewelweed's soothing reputation reflects Hygeia's healing influence. And Oshun, a goddess of rivers, beauty, love, and restoration. Jewelweed's relationship with flowing water echoes Oshun's nurturing energy. And of course, crystals related with jewelweed are green calcite for soothing and renewal, sunstone for joy and light, and garden quartz for growth and healing. Some tarot cards associated with jewelweed: the Star, representing healing, serenity, and renewed hope after a period of struggle. The Six of Cups, representing joy and getting back to happiness and balance. When we bring poison ivy and jewelweed together, these plants tell a remarkable story. Poison ivy teaches boundaries, and jewelweed teaches healing. One says protect yourself, and the other says now recover. So if those boundaries get crossed, this is perfect energy to work with. One creates distance, the other restores connection. These are not opposite lessons. They are complementary. And that's why I wanted to do both poison ivy and jewelweed, because they do go together so well. Healthy boundaries allow healing, and healing allows healthy relationships. Nature rarely teaches through extremes. Instead, it teaches balance. Many of us spend our lives swinging between these two energies. Sometimes we need poison ivy energy, and we need to tell people to back off. We need to say no. We need to protect our peace and our space. We need to honor our limits. And other times we need jewelweed energy, when we need that comforting energy, when we need to take time to heal, when we need gentleness, when we need to recover from something. We need compassion for ourselves. Neither state is permanent. Both have their place. The wisdom comes from recognizing which one is needed. The next time you encounter poison ivy along a trail or just out in your backyard, perhaps you'll see more than just a troublesome plant. Perhaps you'll see a teacher, a guardian, a reminder that boundaries matter. And if nearby you notice jewelweed glowing with orange flowers and sparkling droplets of water, perhaps you'll recognize another teacher, one who reminds us that healing follows hardship, comfort follows discomfort, and nature often provides what we need, even if we have to look carefully to find it. Together, poison ivy and jewelweed tell us a story about protection and restoration, and about our limits and our healing processes, and about the delicate balance that sustains both forests and human hearts. Thank you so much for joining me today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope you all get outside this summer, this fall, and just enjoy finding new plants, writing them down, learning their energies and their properties. Jewelweed was the start for me, and I hope that you find a plant out there this summer, sometime out in your travels, that starts this for you if you haven't been doing this already. And that is my hope for you today. And thank you so much again. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and take care. Thanks for coming along for the ride, travelers. If you're enjoying the show, please share, like, or leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. If you have ideas for the show or would like to say hello, you can email me at spiritualroutespodcast@gmail.com. Please keep sharing the show so we can keep finding our spiritual roots together.